Hey guys, good day. Myself Anuraj. I'm working here as a project manager at Bridge Global. So today I'm gonna talk about the topic testing in the era of AI. So yeah, let's dive into the topic.
So today, I'm excited to explore with you how generative AI is reshaping testing. So we all look at the ways AI is not just improving efficiency, but it's actively changing how we think about quality, coverage, and even the role of a tester, right? So testing in the era of AI is far more than automated scripts. It's dynamic space where generative AI is enabling us to anticipate, adapt, and evolve in the role of a tester, you know. So yeah, let's dive into how this technology can empower us as testers to be more proactive and effective, delivering quality at a scale and speed we once only dreamed of. Let's get into it. Over the years, testing has evolved significantly, right? So in the early 2000s, structured testing became essential but was mostly manual and done only after the development, right? So by 2010, test automation gained traction, allowing us to speed up and enhance efficiency. So then with a shift left approach, testing became continuous and integrated early in development, which makes quality everyone's responsibility, not just QA's responsibility, right? So now we are entering a new phase, the artificial intelligence in testing, right? So with AI, especially I would say generative AI, we have the potential to make testing more smarter, faster, and more predictive, right? So this shift promises to redefine testing yet again, helping us achieve a new level of quality and efficiency. So let's explore that. So as you all know, like as the demand for software is growing day by day, right? So and so does the need for more frequent releases, right? So with an increasing number of software developers globally, we are seeing a rise in the volume and speed of software hitting the market. According to Statista, the global developer population is expected to grow from 24.5 million in 2020 to 28.7 million by 2024. See, that's an exponential growth of 8.7 million in just 4 years. So with this surge in releases, the role of software testing has become even more critical, right? So, but given how extensive and time-consuming testing can be, or automation alone is not enough to keep up, right? So to truly maximize efficiency and streamline testing, we need to incorporate AI. So AI-enhanced and automation can help us test faster, smarter, and at scale, allowing us to meet the demands of today's fast-paced software development world. So let's start with the big question. What is AI, right? So I'm sure like you all will have different ideas and perspective when it comes to AI, right? AI is a fancy way of saying, can this computer think or act like a human, right? Officially, AI is about creating systems that can perform tasks usually needing human intelligence. Things like learning, reasoning, and making decisions, obviously, right? Now, let me also try to add some perspective to that. So, AI is not your typical automation, So, you imagine a robotic arm, right? We all know a robotic arm in industries where it's been used to move the packages from one spot to another, right? Do you think that's AI? No, right? It's not actually AI. It's simply a well-programmed, well-trained arm, right? But if that robotic arm can learn to pick up packages, identify their weight, and place them in different spots based on that information, we are getting closer to AI. It's not just following instructions. It's making choices or decisions based on the data it's getting or it's seeing, right? So in short, AI is when a system has the intelligence to adapt rather than just mindlessly follow orders. And that is what makes AI so fascinating. So now let's talk about generative AI or Gen AI, right? So that is going to be called upon again and again during this session because that is what is going to help us testers more often, right? So generative AI, I would say, is a creative twist of AI. So unlike traditional AI, which just follows rules, generative AI actually creates. It can write, it can draw, compose, and more. So think of it like an AI artist. So instead of just sorting or analyzing data, it generates new content from what it's learned. So whether it's writing a story or making a new image, generative AI is here to get creative. So we get a lot of contents based on the input that is getting. It generates more and more content based on the input that it's getting. So let's explore that a bit more during the coming slides. So now when it comes to generative AI, so you will know 80% of Gen AI if you know these 5 building blocks, I would say. So let's go through each of that, right? So AI agents. So you must have heard about this term AI agent more often, I would say. So AI agents are like decision makers, so they operate independently to accomplish specific tasks based on their goals, like let's say chat agents, virtual assistants that work on our behalf, So it's like a personal assistant who knows what you want and handles tasks autonomously, like scheduling your appointments while you're busy elsewhere. So this is what we call as AI agents, right? The second block is multimodality. So multimodality means that AI can understand and process different types of data, like text inputs. It could take text inputs, images, video, audio, etc., and work across them all. So just imagine a translator, who speaks many languages and can translate spoken, written, and visual forms. So multimodality is like an AI polyglot, I would say, which is able to jump between these languages seamlessly, right? And then it comes RAG, that is retrieval augmented generation. It's a bit complex concept, but I'll try to explain it in a simpler way. So RAG, or a retrieval augmented generation, combines retrieval, like finding informations, with generation to deliver up-to-date relevant answers. So let's imagine a librarian, who, instead of just memorizing books, he know how to search through the library to answer your questions accurately by going to the external areas like other sources, right? So RAG is like a AI librarian pulling in the latest, most relevant info before responding. So it does its own research based on what input that we are giving and gives us the response after research from its side, So that's mostly like the concept of RAG. And then it comes to fine tuning. So fine tuning adjusts a model's knowledge for specific tasks or topics, refining it to better meet specialized needs. Let's say, let's talk about a chef who can cook anything, right? And let's talk about another chef which is trained particularly to master Italian cuisine specifically. That will be different, right? So fine-tuning lets AI specialize for particular tasks or industries. And then comes prompt engineering, which is something which we need to understand to the core. So prompt engineering is all about crafting the right questions or commands to get the best answers from AI. So prompt engineering is also a buzzword nowadays. So you all should be familiar with this thing, and you all should learn how to give prompts to different AI tools. Like nowadays we do have a lot of AI tools like ChatGPT, Gemini, Cloud, so and so, Copilot, right? So if we want to get proper response or expected response from all these tools, what we need to give is the right prompts. Okay, so that is why prompt engineering is taking a specialized space nowadays, because it gives us almost accurate results if we are giving the right prompts, So let's think it of as like a phrasing a question carefully to get the exact answer you want. Like asking, what's the best way to make pizza, right? Or how do I make pizza? So good prompt leads to better answers. So that is the reason I'm telling you, you should understand prompt engineering to the core. And there are different ways to do these prompts to get us more specific and accurate results, which will come on the line, right? And specifically for testing, we need to shape some specific prompts for us for various tasks, which is related to test case generation or automation or whatever it is, predictive bugs, right? So we will come across all those things in the coming slides. So how AI is changing the software testing world, right? So AI is transforming software testing in a lot of ways. It drives the demand for AI or machine learning skills, which jumped from 7% in 2023 to 21% in 2024. This is because companies are adopting AI for, like manual and automation testing. So AI has got impacts on all these areas. So it helps on a smarter analysis. So AI identifies the needed test after code updates, right? It also helps in visual validation. So AI detect UI bugs across the platforms after some code changes or something, right? And predictive testing, most importantly. So AI can help us forecast potential issues even before they arise. So these are some smarter aspects of how AI is going to transform the QA fraternity. So AI is not just about automating, but makes testing smarter and proactive, I would say. Okay, now let's have a look on why QA should master generative AI, right? So generative AI actually helps us in a lot of ways, right? It helps us to free up the resources. So with AI handling repetitive tasks, QAs can now focus on more strategic, high-level work, freeing up valuable time and resources. And generative AI also helps in identifying the testing needs and speed up the process. So AI can now quickly analyze the code changes and identify the most critical tests to be run. And it also helps in speeding up the entire testing process. So that's one aspect. And another one I would say is like save resources, like by automating many manual tasks, or AI reduces the need for extensive human intervention, saving both time and effort. And it also helps in improving the reliability of testing, right? So AI driven testing is consistent and less prone to human error. So it helps in improving the overall reliability of the product thereby, right? And when it comes to refined products with AI testing, AI can help actually refining products by continuously learning from the test results and improving the test coverage, and thereby ensuring high quality releases. So in short, I would say like mastering Gen AI enables QAs to be more efficient, proactive in their testing process. Now let's get into that $1,000,000 question. Is AI going to replace people in the QA jobs? Well, you may not like me for what I'm going to say, but here is the reality, right? So people usually comes to these platforms like LinkedIn and, like in the conferences and all, and they tell that AI is not going to lead to the loss of jobs. And we all know that it's a big lie, right? So jobs will go away because there are many low-hanging fruits in testing. And it's not about AI, actually. Some of those problems, their solutions have nothing to do with AI, but they would be solved with AI. But here is the thing, like you don't need to fear it, but rather you need to adapt to it, right? To stay relevant and keep your job, you need to focus on these key areas where you need to master the AI tools. You should embrace the change. You should accept the change. You should start learning AI automation tools and become experts on how we can give prompts to these tools and get the accurate results, right? Which could help us a lot in saving time and, in when it comes to manual testing, and both manual and automation, I would say, right? So for this, a mindset shift is required. Certainly. So QA is not just about testing anymore, right? It's about optimizing the testing process, and AI has got a huge role in that, right? So you should always start focusing on the high value tasks. So AI will start handling all the repetitive, like we do in automation, low level work. But that leaves you with more time to focus on more complex human-centric challenges, like analyzing the results, thinking strategically, and improving the overall quality of the product, handling the releases. So AI is coming whether we like it or not. The question is how we'll respond to it. So you should start mastering AI skills, adapt to the future, and keep your jobs by moving towards higher value roles. So you should start upskilling yourself, I would say. So now let's discuss more about prompt engineering, the thing which I mentioned before, right? So as I told you, like prompt engineering is about being clear and specific when interacting with AI, you know? So few things that we need to note is like we should define the task clearly. So we should be precise with what we want. So instead of give me some data sets, say give me 10 data sets on climatic changing trends, So try to include core elements, give a context or background of why you need this data, how we are going to use it. So give instructions in that way, right? So give the proper input references if you have. So give some examples if you can, and tell them like how you want the result. And always try to minimize the ambiguity. So avoid using work terms. So always try to be specific in terms of what your expectations are. And you should set the temperature level. So when I say temperature level, what I mean is like you should choose creative, precise, or balanced responses based on your needs. And you should also mention some tones and audiences which may use these results. Like specify if it should be formal or casual. And also try to give some formatting guidelines. Like tell the AI how you want the response, maybe as a list or as a paragraph or in a tabular structure, And one main thing we all should understand is like we should always try to avoid this sharing informations because informations could be sensitive, right? So while considering all these data security policies and all in different organizations, we should always be cautious about that as well, because we are giving this data to the LLMs, the large language models, and they will use it for further response generations and all, right? So we should be very, very keen in terms of what data we are sharing. Okay, so these are some of the key concepts of the prompt engineering. So we will also look into some of the context-based prompt engineering things that we need to take care of. So as I told you, like we should always give proper context, like you can tell to act it like a person or act it like a tester, act as a QA and give me test cases for this, or act as a QA lead and review the test cases for me, So always try to give that context and the role which it should enact, and specify background informations like the sites or people to refer to, These context-driven responses are more accurate, I would say. So you should always also try to explain or define your domain or application type or the system you're trying to test, a brief idea of what it is so that it gives more it gets more context and give you more accurate results. So also try to specify what's expected in terms of like if it's test case generation, tell them like I need positive test cases or maybe negative test cases or boundary edge cases, and also try to give examples of desired format and styles expected. Maybe I need it as a code snippet, or maybe this is for an email. So try to give an information on what kind of structure you are expecting, And for some cases, maybe you might need to define the data requirements. For example, like for writing test cases about a login, maybe or registration, maybe we should say that the string is maximum is up to 20 characters, or age is should be higher than 18, So these data are also more important when it comes to test case generations and all. So try to define these data requirements and feed it to the feed it in your prompts, when you give it. And also try to ask for step-by-step explanations when it comes to automated test code generations and all. Always try to ask for step-by-step explanations so that like, okay, what each lines is going to be for, like, why this is there, all those details will be well explained if that is there in your prompt, So these are all the things that we need to consider when it comes to giving the actual prompts, the right prompts to the LLMs. And one important thing I would say is like you shouldn't stop at first response. You should always treat these LLMs. I mean, like this ChatGPT or Copilot or Cloud or Gemini, whatever tool you're using. You should always treat them as your colleague. if possible, say good morning to them, or good evening to them, ask them like, how was your day? I mean, and try to interact them as a colleague, and try to have that kind of a relationship. Don't see it as a tool, so give responses to the feedback that you're getting, so that it can improvise its response based on your valuable feedback. So try to interact and fine tune the responses to the expected way which you want. So that's very important. All right, so now let's try to create a simple test case for a use case for a user being logged in an e-commerce application and just browsing through the products. Okay, so here is the normal basic prompt that I'm giving. So create test cases for a logged in user browsing through available products in an e-commerce application. Okay, so I'm just giving it, and you can see test cases coming up, right? Verify that the user can view a list of available products. What is the precondition? What are the test steps? See how quickly the test cases are being created for such scenario. Right? A lot of test cases like verify that pagination works correctly, verify that filtering and sorting persist when navigating between product pages. A lot of conditions are being created, right? So see how much of test cases are being created. Almost 10 test cases. Just imagine how much of time it will take for us to identify these 12 test cases in the first case, and then write it or document it. See how much of time it will take. All right, so now I'm giving a different prompt for the same scenario, okay, to create some test cases, and let's see how it gives the output. Okay, so now this is like a proper prompt I'm giving. Okay, act as a senior QA engineer and create test cases, create maximum test cases for the below user story, browser products, or let's say create positive and negative test cases separately for the below user story, browse products. As a logged in user, I want to browse through available products in the e-commerce application so that I can view product details and choose the ones I want to purchase, and have given some acceptance criteria. Okay, so now let's see how the output will look like. See, now it's creating positive test cases first. You see? So in the basic prompt that we have given before, it generated the test cases all together, right? So now we have given a prompt which says like, okay, I want a positive test cases and negative test cases separately. So, and I also asked him to act as a senior QA engineer, right? So now this will become more accurate, and we'll get an expected result in terms of separate positive test cases and separate negative test cases, right? Based on the input that we have given. All right. So similarly, we can create a lot of prompts. For example, like let me just go through some of the prompts that I have created for you. If you look here, you can see some positive test case scenario. Your task is to create a positive scenario test case for the given feature. Assume that a user wants to complete a specific action successfully. Provide step-by-step instructions on how to navigate through the system, input relevant data, and execute the action flawlessly, right? And similarly for negative scenario test cases, similarly for boundary value test cases, similarly for getting the security test cases. So just like this, we can give different prompts to ChatGPT or some similar tools like that, and we can get the maximum accurate expected results from out of it. You got it? So this is how we can do stuffs with ChatGPT. Now let's dive into scenario where we can use ChatGPT for test automation. You know, so this is the prompt which I have created. for test script generation. So initially I'm planning to use it with Selenium. So let's just give this prompt. So I'm telling like act like an automation expert and create an automation test script using Selenium with Java and TestNG for the following test cases. The test case is successful login. So there's a precondition: the user must possess valid credentials, and I have given the test steps, and I have also given the expected results. So now let's just copy paste this prompt, okay, and give it to ChatGPT and see how it works. So normally when like if I want to create this or set up an automation framework with Selenium, it takes a bit of time, right? So but look at here, like it's giving a clear, concise, proper um, method and proper description and explanation in terms of how to create those test cases. You have this test script here, so you're importing the libraries which is required, like you're creating a public class for successful login test, initializing the driver, system property settings, maximizing the browser windows. See, you even have code comments within it so that you understand, okay, what the purpose of this particular code is, right? So even if we are writing, we will not be writing this neatly, you mean, right? So yeah, so how easily we have created an automation test script with Selenium for testing the successful login scenario. Now let's create the same for let's say Cypress, which is one of the most demanding tool nowadays. So when it comes to Cypress, I have tweaked the prompt a little bit. So I have told like act as a Cypress expert and create an automation test script using Cypress with proper and standard folder structure explanations and naming conventions for the following test cases, right? Previously, we created a simple, straightforward automation test script, but here I have asked ChatGPT to explain the folder structure that is being created and also give proper explanations to all the naming conventions and everything. Let's see how it behaves for this prompt. See, it's giving us a folder structure. See how neatly it's giving us a folder structure like Cypress fixtures, and where we have users.json, which contains test data such as user credentials. See how neatly and detailed is this output that we are getting. Explanation for each folder. So fixture stands for this, integration stands for this, plugins for this. See, and writing the test script. Step 1, define test data in. See, it's even telling us at which path we should create this particular file and what code we should copy to that particular file. Awesome. And it's even giving us a page object model supporting framework, for the code reusability and maintainability. And it's see how, like if you have a very basic knowledge in terms of understanding the automation and arranging things properly, definitely you don't need to be an expert in any of the coding languages, because ChatGPT is there to help you with getting the code, and it's just your job is just to like understand the code, make sure like it has the proper coverage and necessary test cases that needs to be automated, and just arrange it in the proper way. And it even tells us like where to put what code, the configurations, what configurations you see. So this is the magic of ChatGPT, by which we can use it for test script generations, and even for, so our only job is to replace the locators with the actual ones. So that is the only skill which I need in terms of doing an automation nowadays. This is magic, right? how fast I can create these things like this. It wasn't easy before, and test automation was a nightmare for most of the testers I know. But now this has become more easy, and like anyone can do it. Anyone. All right. So now I would like to like take you through Jira, where I have implemented test case generation with the help of AI. So now in our organization, our team members doesn't need to spend a lot of time in terms of analyzing the like test scenarios, identifying the test scenarios and creating test cases based on that. So we use a tool which help us to identify all these test scenarios on the click of a button. You know, let me just show you how that magic happens. The power of AI, right? All right, so I have created a sample project here, like sample demo. And in the backlog, I have created, just to save time, I have created an user story already. So let's just go to that user story, So this particular user story is for coupon redemption limit. Okay. So I have created an acceptance criteria in the description field, as usually we do in Jira, right? Control how many times the customer can redeem your coupons, set the maximum number for each customer and maximum use across all customers. So when the coupon meets your specified limits, it's no longer valid. So that is the user story that we are going to analyze and generate test cases with AI. Okay, so now what needs to be tested? So this is the intelligent test case generation tool that we have. So let's say like I need to create multi-step test cases, I need functional test cases, and I'm just clicking the next button and here it starts. You see how many test cases are being generated? 30. Oh wow, 53 test cases in less than 10 seconds. Can you imagine that? Okay. All right. So now now I can just verify, or I can edit it, or I can just verify each of them. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select few test cases here and I'm just adding it to the user story. See, this is the test case ID. This is the headline. See how easy this is. Let me just reload. All right, see how many test cases are being created. All those test cases are being automatically added. I can change the priority. I can assign these particular things. I can execute the test cases here, All right, so that's it for today's session. Just to wrap up, like embracing AI in QA is not just about adapting to the new tools, it's about transforming how we deliver quality. So AI will empower us to move beyond repetitive tasks, to a smarter, a faster, and more impactful testing. So let's take the first step towards this exciting future by exploring and experimenting with AI in our workflows. What do you say? Yeah, so thank you all for your time, and feel free to reach out with questions or ideas as we shape this journey together. So I'm happy to help. Have a good day. Bye bye.